Okay, we're going to learn how to do a slip stitch join. So you can take any two granny squares to do this. I'm going to start with the left and going into the right. And how we do that is we need to go into the bottom loops. So here in the corner, I've asked you to do 3 single crochets. So I'm going to go through the middle of this one. And on the right square, we're going to go into the middle of this one. So this is your location that you will be starting your join, right here. Okay, now the first thing you have to know about joining with a zipper stitch, and I'll be doing this in a gray so that you can see the contrast, is that you need to work behind the squares. So the first thing you do is make a slip knot, and that will secure that entry point. So we put a slip knot on the hook and we bring the pieces close to us, and we're using, now I always go a bit on an angle so I can see which stitches I'm going into. So just rotate it just a little bit this way. And you're going into the back loop. So this is the front leg and this is the back leg. You will always be going through the back leg of each square. So in this case, I'll be going into this stitch, and on the right hand square, I'll be going into this stitch, the one that's closest to the left hand granny square. Okay, so let me just remove this. In other words, we're going to go in through the front, and on this one, we're going to find this, and we're going into the back loop. So go through both back loops. So now you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to have the original slip stitch, and then the back loop of each square. Now, a little tricky, but how the zipper stitch works is that you must work behind the squares. So take your yarn and go, literally take it and go underneath. And this is a problem that everyone has with this zipper stitch. They don't understand that this has to stay behind the work, okay, at all times. So you're going to yarn over here and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. 1 loop, and then the second loop here. You might have to use your fingers, go through that loop and go through the original slip knot. And that secures your join here at the bottom. Now, we will always be going from the right granny square to the left granny square. We are going to go through the back loop here. So when this faces you, this is the back loop. We're going to go into there. Please leave your yarn down. Don't work with your yarn on your finger yet until you get used to doing this stitch. Go through the back loop on the second square. Pick up the yarn. As you can see, it's behind the squares. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. 1, 2, and 3. And when you do that, do it very loosely. We don't want a tight join, and it's actually going to look better that way. Okay, now we need to go into that single crochet here. We're going through the V. We're going to go into the back loop. I'm going to put my yarn down. I'll find the corresponding single crochet on the other side and go through that back loop. I'm going to pick up my yarn, which is behind the 2 squares, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. If you need to take your fingers and pinch it up a little bit, that's okay. Go 1, 2, and 3. And let's do it one more time. Go through the back loop on the first square and go through the back loop on the second. And when you go through the right-hand square, you're just basically stabbing in between the 2 V's, between the V, and taking that right leg closest to the left square. Okay, yarn over and pull through. There's 1 loop, 2 loops, and 3 loops. Let's just take this out so we can see what this looks like. This makes a very nice flat join, as you can see. And on the reverse side, it looks like a sewing machine stitch. So let's continue here. Put the yarn back in and make sure that your working yarn is still behind the 2 squares. Turn sideways slightly. You're not going in through this first front leg, you're going through the back leg again, and make sure to go from the front. Don't try to come from behind, go through the front of the work. On the second square, find the corresponding loop, which would be this one. Go through that back leg. Again, there's a V there, and go through the V and pick the stitch up closest to this square. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. I like to give it a little lift with my fingers like this. 1, 2, and 3. Go through the back loop again, corresponding on the other side, which would be this one. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And make sure to stay loose with this stitch. Do not do it tightly. If you do it too tightly, it will not look good. Okay, so that's a lovely join there. And so I'm just going to continue on here. You can pause the video if you think you understand it. If not, you can continue with me. We're going to yarn over. We're going to slip stitch through all 3. So that's yarn over and go through 1, 2, and 3. Again, through the back loop of both granny squares, we're going to go over here. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. I like to lift it so that it's nice and even. Let's take a look at that. It's good to pause a little bit and make sure that the stitches are nice and even. Okay, let's continue, and I'll go right to the top with you. Go through the back leg, go through the other back leg, yarn over from behind, and go through those 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Go through the back, go through the back, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. 1, 2, and 3. Now this just continues all the way up. I have a little snag there. Okay, so we're going to go, if you need to turn your squares around slightly, you can do that. Go through the back loop here. Keep the yarn. I actually drop the yarn. I don't even touch it because I need to find the next corresponding loop. So go in between those V's right here and take the leg closest to you and closest to this square. We're going to yarn over. I'm going to reveal here, yarn over, and pull through that loop and pull through all 3. And so this is how you do the zipper stitch. It's a little slower than the other stitches, but the result is well worth it. And go through 1, 2, and 3. And so this would continue all the way up. And there you go. And this is the zipper stitch. Okay, so we're coming toward the end of our join here. So basically we're going to finish off by going through this back loop here, and then the corresponding back loop on this square, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, make it very loose, and the last stitch in here will be here. Okay, so we go through the back loop on this one, on the right hand square, and then we find the corresponding 3rd loop, because I said to make 3 single crochets in this corner space. So we need to go into here that back loop. And with the work still behind, as you can see, the yarn is always behind, yarn over, and I just lift that stitch and pull that through, and pull that through. And that's it. And that is the flat stitch zipper join. And you can use this on almost anything, like handbags. You can use it for blankets. You can use it for hats. I really love this join. On the back, like I said, it looks like a sewing machine. So that is the end of this, and I'm going to be showing you another join now. And that join is going to be a lifted join. And if you like this video and you've learned something, please hit the like and subscribe button and consider buying me a coffee so I can make other videos. Coffee. You'll find the Buy Me Coffee link below in the description, and please let me know what other projects you're interested in making.